Hello friends, and welcome to another Happily Letter After tutorial. Today I'm going to teach you a lettering style that's different from the ones we've done before. This one is going to be more of like a box type of letter. And so if you want to follow along exactly the way I'm doing this, I'm using a square canvas and my size is 3000 by 3000 pixels. So let's get started. First, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the wrench icon here and we're going to turn on the drawing guide and we're going to edit our drawing guide. Now, if you're doing the exact same size as me, the 3000 by 3000 pixels, you can do the exact same measurement that I'm doing. So I'm going to turn my grid size to 150 pixels and then hit done, and then hit done again up here. And for this tutorial, you're only going to need one brush and two colors. So the brush that I'm using is one of my monoline brushes from my brush pack, but you can use the one that came with Procreate in the, believe it's in the calligraphy set, or whatever your favorite brush is. So what we're going to do first is we're going to select our color. I have an orange selected here, and we're going to start drawing boxes. So I'm going to start drawing my boxes, and I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to do 4 across on the top. So if you start drawing and you hold your pencil, you make a straight line. So I'm going to do 4 across, and I'm going to do 6 down. So, oops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and so I'm doing something it's going to be a very, very simple little saying. We're just going to say, hey, you. And this is a different style than I've normally do. It's actually something I just got inspired from by a book that I have. And I recommend that if you're looking for different lettering styles, Pinterest is great. I happened to find this book with different lettering styles over at Half Price Books. So any bookstores, or if you're looking at books or magazines or something, then you can find inspiration there as well. So I'm just making boxes for our letters. So this is going to be the base, and it's we're going to just kind of chip away at these boxes to create our letter forms. So if you just draw your boxes, with a straight line, and then you drag your color in, it's going to fill it. And to do this a little bit faster, if we go up to our layers and we duplicate our layer, we can just go ahead and drag it down so we don't have to, that way we don't have to redraw everything. All right, and I think I'm going to space them like this where they're two squares apart. And I want to center everything, so I'm going to pinch these 2 layers together to merge them, and I'm going to use the arrow tool and I'm going to drag it down so that they're evenly spaced here. So there's 3 on top and 3 on bottom. Now they're centered. And you can also use the snapping tool if you wanted to, but because we have a grid, it makes it easy. That little this little green line here and the orange line, it shows you where it's falling, and you can see that it's in the middle, and we've got 3 here, 3 here. It's easier when you have a big grid like this to find the middle, but if you've got a ton of little tiny squares, it makes it a little bit harder. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do, and this is, I'm telling you, this is super, super simple. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna use the exact same brush that we used for drawing our squares, and you don't have to go through your eraser and look through your brushes. If you tap and hold, it'll automatically erase with the exact same brush you're using. So to do these letter forms, we're just going to erase away. So it's kind of like we're sculpting with clay in a way, but we're doing it on a canvas digitally. So, sorry, cat hair all over my iPad. So what we're gonna do is in the center line here, we're going to draw a straight line and hold it so that it's straight, and we're only gonna go down 2 squares. And we're going to do the same thing on the bottom, going up 2 squares, so it's like a big chunky block letter. And actually I don't like how uneven that is, so let me just, it looked a little off to me. And it doesn't have to be super perfect. I mean, this is hand lettering. There, so now we have our H. So you can see that we have the form of the H. It's very blocky. And we're gonna do the same thing with the E, where all we're gonna do is, I'm going 2 blocks down, and I'm only gonna go 2 blocks over, and I'm doing the same thing where I hold it to make it straight. And we're gonna even it out and do 2 here as well. And the Y is a little bit different. So the letters are gonna get a little bit harder as we go, but you'll see it's not as difficult as you think. It's just slightly harder. It's not like super difficult where you can't do it, I promise. Okay, so we're gonna start at the top corner here, and we're gonna go down 2 into the middle, and we're gonna do the same thing on this side, and snap it in place into that middle. And now, what we're gonna do is we are going to grab this little S right here. We're gonna select with the free hand, so make sure you have free hand selected. And we're just going to draw along our triangle here that we just cut out. And now, if you swipe down with 3 fingers, you can just hit cut and it deletes it. So there we go. We have the top part of our Y. Now let's get to the bottom part of our Y. So we are, and there's probably many ways you can do this, and I'd love to see what you come up with. Be creative with it. So I'm just gonna go in here, and I'm gonna go to this block right here. It's kind of in the middle, and I'm gonna go down only one square diagonally, and actually it's kind of cutting off weird right there. So let me start it over a little bit. And now I'm going to go down to this bottom corner because I want to keep it kind of that chunky look. And I'm going to do the same thing on this other side here. And now we're going to use this S tool because you could erase this manually if you wanted to. And by all means, if you want to, that is completely fine. That is completely up to you. But it saves a little bit of time to do it this way, I think, and then you don't miss any little tiny pieces, because I've done that before where there's just like the little tiniest little sliver that was left. So there we have our word hey. And now we're going to do the U. And so the Y is going to be the same. We're going to do the exact same thing like we did for the other Y. And feel free, if you want to make this more rounded, and we are going to do some rounded letters, you'll see in a minute with the O and the U. So if you wanted to do rounded Y, you could. Definitely nothing wrong with that. This is just the way I decided to do mine. I'm going to erase that little bit that's right there. And again, I kind of like it when it's not perfect, you know, because then it's more of that hand-drawn quality, and it gives it some character to kind of have the imperfections, and I like that. There's something about that that's just so fun to look at, you know, instead of it being perfect, which if you want it perfect, you could get a font. You could do it, you can definitely mimic being perfect, but hand-drawn there's just so much fun to it, you know? Okay. Now for the O, it's a little bit tricky. It may take you a couple tries. I know when I was practicing and doing this, it took me a few tries. So don't feel bad if you can't get this on the first try, and I may not either, even though I've already done this. But try to get as close to the edge as possible, drawing your oval, and then finish it and then kind of connect it, and you want it to get to the edges. There. Oh, I actually did good. I mean, it's not perfect, but actually this is the best I've done in one try. And then I'm going to just do a little line here in the middle to hollow it out. And again, I am going to go ahead and get these. I'm going to do the 2 on the top, and then I'm going to do the 2 on the bottom separate, because if I try to do all of it, it's going to get these other letters. So it's just a little bit easier to do top and bottom first like this. So just carefully trace around your letters. And it helps out if you are zoomed in on your piece. There, so now we got the O. But I kind of like that Y. I don't know, that Y is just, it's so fun. It's so different. It would make a great X too if you cut out the bottom. All right, so now what I'm going to do for the U is I'm kind of going to mimic how we did the O, but not with a full circle. So I'm going to kind of eyeball it. So we have 2 here is how this O is, right? So I'm going to just kind of do a curve like this. And I'm going to just do it right here. We're not going to go all the way to the middle, but we can curve it a little bit more. Let's see. There, just a little bit. And then we can curve on this other side here, so it's not perfect. And then go down a little, not all the way. And now we'll cut out this bottom part. Oops, I got it a little too close to the edge. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Now, I don't like how it's super flat on the bottom, so I'm just going to kind of erase a little bit. And I'm not getting it super perfect here. I'm just kind of giving it some character. It kind of has like that cut out feel, you know, almost like we cut it from paper or something. So there we have our letters. I'm going to throw a background onto it, but first let me turn off our grid so you can see the finished product. And I'm going to just throw a background color in there. I'm going to do a yellow. And there you have it. It's very simple letter forms to do, and it just gives you another idea of this is what I could do with letters. If you're stuck in a new lettering style, try doing rectangles or squares or cut out from any shape. You can use any shape and be creative and make up your own style. You can even add designs on the inside of these letters if you want, but this is just a fun, creative, inspirational new lettering form to try out. But yes, I highly recommend getting some books and getting some inspiration. That's what I do, or looking on Pinterest. And I hope this inspired you to try something new today. Until next time, have fun creating.